The Mariners are now once again below 500, and the panic button is still continuing to be pressed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the series analysis episode of the Seattle Baseline Podcast. My name is Alex Hong, and I'm running solo here today. And yeah, that series was quite unfortunate. First, I want to say that Julian, he's okay right now. All he's doing is just he's packing because he's about to go to Japan, so that's cool for him. I'm still staying in the US, so that's I kind of wish I could go to Japan right now because it'd be cool, but yeah, so that's just what's happening there. He'll be back for the next episode. Okay, so I think we just got to start talking about that last game because that's on everyone's minds right now. And I will say, admit to you guys that I had stopped watching the game, the last game, around like the seventh inning or so, and we were up at that point. And because I had something to go do, and I was keeping up the game a little bit later, and then I saw that we were losing all of a sudden. I was like, oh my God, what happened? So that really took it out of me because I was expecting to come out here and talk about a series win, but clearly the Mariners had other plans. So let's talk about what happened, right? So Emerson Hancock goes 5 2/3. He has a pretty good start, gives up a run, some hits, but he made that really amazing double play at first base where he threw a laser to third base and got the out. That was an incredible play because pitchers usually don't make crazy defensive plays like that, but Emerson Hancock did. So give him a lot of props there. We send out Bizardo for an out, gives up a hit, but we get the out. Um, so now it's the sixth inning. We have Spire come in, right? It's a little shaky, but he handles business. And when we enter the seventh inning, sorry, no, that was the seventh inning. When we enter the eighth inning, we're at the point where our bullpen is kind of depleted because we knew that Jose Ferrer was unavailable today because he pitched the last two games, right? And then we have this eighth inning where it's kind of like a bad situation because our bullpen's already cooked at this point, right? So we have Michael Rucker come in, who I don't know too much of this guy. A lot of our bullpen guys we've had come up, don't really know too much about. So, he comes in and it goes really poorly. He gives up a lot of runs. Then Josh Simpson comes in and it's not much better. He also gives up the runs, a few of those runs. So, yeah, it goes really bad. And, we can blame it on the bullpen, right? Oh, it's the injuries, right? But that's not the way I would frame this because this was a definitely an avoidable situation. First of all, I feel like we definitely could have had Bizardo go longer than just point 0.1 innings, right? We're in a situation where we desperately need to start winning these series because now we're under 500, right? We're at the point, we're at the breaking point. Okay, we're at 500. This is a pretty game we need to win for the series and even maybe some wild card implications, right? But we're in a situation where we're just throwing out Bizardo for one out. And then now he's gone, and we have to throw in one of like Michael Rucker, for example, out there because we don't have the bullpen depth right now. And another factor is like, okay, so the Mariners were supposed to piggyback on Saturday, right, with Gilbert and Hancock, and they decided not to do that because Gilbert was playing well. So, okay, you would think, okay, they're trusting in their guy and not doing the piggyback. Okay, I kind of like that, but that kind of builds up the problem where the bullpen was probably expecting a Saturday off, and they didn't get the Saturday off because we decided to change plans. And I know only Jose Ferrer pitched in that second game because Gilbert played so well, or actually he didn't play too well, but he went like the 7 innings, right? But we ran into a situation where our bullpen was depleted at this point. So I feel like this was a completely avoidable situation, in my opinion. We could have stretched out our guys a little more, but that was just really unacceptable, and it really cost us the last game. So this is another Dan Wilson type of situation where I have to come out here and slander Dan Wilson, but this is really getting too bad, right? His bullpen management just isn't very good. And it's something we've talked about many times. We talked about this last year in the playoffs, and it's really affecting this team because it's really hindering us because of these poor decisions. The piggyback is not an inherent problem, but we seem to have not be able to commit to something, right? I feel like if we're gonna do, we need to commit to something. Me and a lot of Mariners fans don't like the piggyback at all, and me and Julian haven't had too many problems with the piggyback conceptually, but our problem is the execution of it. We keep changing the plan left and right, and then we keep it looks like we don't really know what we're doing. For example, when we first started with Bryce Mo Luis Castillo, we had Bryce start and then Castillo, and then the next one we had Castillo start and then Bryce, and then it went back to Bryce and then Castillo. So it was really, really confusing. It just was crazy. And then now we're doing this. We went to the 6-man rotation, and then we decided, okay, we don't want to do that anymore. Now we're doing this big piggybacking with everyone involved, but then we're gonna skip this piggybacking now because Logan Gilbert, like you see, guys, what I'm talking about. It's just a lot of confusion and looks a lot of disorganization, and this is causing the problem because we don't have a set schedule, right? And for pitchers, that's important. But now it's like, okay, we had to delay Hancock pitching because we decided not to do the piggyback, for example, and we lead to all these type of problems. I don't know who to blame here. I don't know who's making these decisions. If it's Dan Wilson, it's definitely gonna be a massive problem. If it's someone from upstairs telling him about this, to make Castillo happy or whatever, if that's the reason why we're doing this, that's kind of unacceptable too, because it seems like the plan keeps changing. So I just want some consistency here. Personally, I would just move Castillo to the bullpen, but they seem to not want to do that. And if they don't want to do that, we need to stick to a plan and not just change the plan, especially before it executes. The only reason you should change a plan if it clearly doesn't work. And how would we have known this wouldn't have worked if we keep just changing the plan? We did the 6-man rotation for maybe one or two iterations. So like, okay, we're done with that. Okay, and then we did the Bryce and Castillo thing for a little bit, and that wasn't going too badly, but we are like, oh, we don't want to do this anymore. So I'm just really confused and really frustrated on this. And I think a lot of Mariners fans can agree with me. This piggybacking is just unacceptable because the way it's being run is completely disorganized, and I have no idea what's going on. So, the other team probably also has no idea what's going on too. So they're like surprised coming. They're like, I don't know what to expect. And that's not a good thing because actually, that fact conceptually is a good thing, but it's not a good thing for our players to be confused too. It's one thing if the other team's confused, that's fine. Our players are probably confused because they don't have a plan. Like they thought they had the plan, right? All the pitchers agree, okay, we're gonna do this piggyback, and now we're not doing the piggyback for some. I don't really understand what's happening, and that's leading to some massive problems here. But a lot of, management issues, manager issues with Dan Wilson, like I said, with the last game and how he managed the bullpen. He really, I think, cost us that game. And, we we had that long stretch, right, where we didn't score three or more runs, and we finally did score the runs today, but the pitching couldn't handle it. Of course, the one day they do score runs, so it's unfortunate. Um, okay, let's just talk about the offense real quick. The main problem is that we're not clutch at all. This is really becoming a problem. It's going to be the similar to what I said last week with the home run reliant. Like this is really bad because we're at a situation where, for example, in the second game, right, we scored 3 runs. We literally out hit the Guardians, but the main problem was all our runs came from one swing of the bat. That's going to be a problem, right? It came from Randy's home run, which was a great home run. But every time the Mariners get on base, we just don't score. We don't chain hits together at all. This is not good at all. I don't really, it's just frustrating to deal with because I don't even think our offense is bad. We have had offenses where we get 5 hits in the game, and I'm like, okay, well, what were we supposed to do there? But we're getting, except in the first game, we got 6 hits, but we still did good with the home run, which is also another reason why we're kind of too reliant on the home run. But we don't do the home run right now at a consistent basis like we did last year, where we're able to get away with it. This year, we're not because the team is not as good at hitting home runs, but they only can score, it seems like, if they hit home runs. So this is continuing to be a problem with the Mariners. That last game, we offense actually admittedly played very well. So I don't even blame them too much on that one. It's just really unfortunate with the pitching because we gave up all our runs basically in one inning. So yeah, this is just not ideal right now. It's just really frustrating to see the Mariners play this poorly, and we're at the point where it's not even it's already halfway through the season and we're below 500. And this was a team supposed to be competing for the World Series, right? And a team that's very good, a team that should be well above first place, especially in this terrible division. And now we're in second place somehow because this is honestly one of the worst divisions I've ever seen, to be honest, lately. But yeah, we're lucky to be in this position, but this form of the team is not good enough, and we definitely need to make moves if we want to win. Because I've seen enough. This team is not going to win the World Series at its current iteration right now, and Brendan Donovan coming back is not going to change the fundamental problems with this team. So, yeah, it's just tough right now. I think it's really just frustrating to me with the pitching right now. And it's not like one individual performance, it's this whole piggybacking and this nonsense that I don't really understand. And remember, I'll say it again. Me and Julian didn't oppose the piggybacking like a lot of people did, but the problem is that it's not being executed in a way that makes any sense. I'm so confused. I have no idea what's happening when the piggyback comes up, right? I don't think anyone has an idea because they decided to announce a day before, oh, we're not doing the piggybacking because we think Gilbert's playing well. Okay, well, Bryce Miller's also been playing well, but we're still piggybacking him. Like it doesn't seem fair to him at all, and I totally understand why Bryce Miller is so upset every time he has to do the piggybacking because he's the one who's always had to do it. And he's the one who would feel like right now is the least deserving of having to do it because he's been pitching so well. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the Mariners right now. Not too much happening. Castillo, he props to him. He had a good start, right, on the first game. That's pretty good. Gilbert went a lot of innings, gave up a lot of runs. Is mainly in that fourth inning where it was kind of bad for him. Offense needs to do better at that point, right? They only scored literally in the eighth inning where the game was basically over, right? So yeah, this is kind of just the thing. Inconsistent offense, confusing pitching staff. I don't think, our bullpen depth is tough right now, right? We had like Michael Rucker, and it kind of has to do with some of the injuries we've been having, but that's why another thing, if we end the piggybacking, right, and we have another guy in the bullpen, these type of problems will happen. So that's another reason why I think we should just have this come to an end because I don't trust the team to execute it well. And the bullpen struggles really are real when we have to throw out guys that most Mariners fans have never heard of and they blow the game. And it's nothing on them, right? They shouldn't be in this position. I'm not mad at the players. I'm kind of mad at the people making those players come out to the field. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the next series, right? Hopefully this one will go better. And I say that every time, but I feel like this season it's not been like that. But we got the LA Angels coming up. They're last in the division. They're really bad. This is a team that's truly needs to do a complete rebuild, right? They are kind of a long way away of competing. And this year they've had a lot of problems. So one of the problems is their bullpen. Their bullpen's really bad. They have a 4.47 bullpen ERA, which is seventh in the league in terms of worst, so seventh worst. And, it's just their starting pitching. Sorry, I got something in my throat. Their starting pitching isn't too bad. Jose Soriano, he's actually doing pretty good. Walbert Urania, I believe is how you say it. He's also been doing pretty good. They have some guys injured like Kikuchi, our old friend, but he hasn't even been playing too well. But their starters have been pretty decent. Reed Detmer's also pretty good. But once they go to their bullpen, that's where it goes bad. So the Mariners this series need to take advantage of that bullpen that's really, really bad right now. And another thing that's really bad is their defense. They are sixth in the league in most error, or no, tied for fifth, sorry, in the league for most errors made per game this season on average. And that's really bad. Obviously, you don't want to be in a situation where you're getting a lot of errors, similar to the Mariners, right? But Seattle is not actually too bad defensively this year. We're about midway in the league, like middle in the league in terms of defense. And having JP Crawford and still being middle in the league in defense, I actually think is pretty good. So, yeah, we're against definitely a worse defense. Got to take advantage. We got to get a lot of balls batted in play, right? To take advantage of the many errors the Angels are making this year. Gotta take advantage of the bullpen, right? It seems to be we kind of get our runs kind of after like a random home run we make. It's kind of tough to say, right? But we really got to take advantage of getting to the bullpen early, and that should set us up well for the series, right? The Guardians kind of did that, and it's not really much of their doing because our pitchers went a good amount of innings, but we ran into a point where our bullpen wasn't good, and we crashed out in the last game. We kind of need to do that with the Angels too. If we beat up their starters, even in the first game, and then have the bullpen go against their flawed bullpen for the rest of the series, we're going to have a lot of success. So that's kind of the strategy I think the Mariners need to apply here. And yeah, I mean, the Angels just have a lot of injuries as well. They don't have Trout playing in this series because he's injured. And Trout isn't the same guy he used to be, right? But he's still like a household name. He's still been their best player on offense, I'd say, this year. So good things there from him. Hopefully, Joe Adele doesn't rob the home runs like he did early in this year. Oh God, I still have like PTSD from that, but that's a name we gotta watch out for. He's not even doing that good this year, but for some reason against the Mariners, he turns into Shohei Ohtani, I feel like. So he's a guy to look out for. Who else is a name? Like Zach Neto, I think is a pretty good player. I think he's kind of underrated. He's not like the greatest player by any means, but I kind of like him at shortstop. So there's some few guys on the Angels I like, but this is ultimately a team that's going to be rebuilding, a team that's last in this terrible division, and a team that's definitely not competing for the World Series. And if the Mariners don't do well against this team, then they're also going to prove that they are definitely not competing for the World Series. We need to start turning it around. If we don't turn around in this series, me and Julian are definitely going to have a big conversation next episode. And we're already reaching that point to where it's completely unacceptable to the point where the Mariners are right now. This isn't a slow start. This is clearly a trend, and it's a bad trend, and it's a trend that needs to be fixed. And there's lots of problems that are causing the Mariners to experience these poor trends. And if those don't get fixed, right? And we talked about how, like I said, in the like with the piggybacking, the weird nonsense happening there, the struggles of Mariners being able to chain together hits, only relying on the home run when they don't even hit that many home runs like they did last year is not going to be a good plan. So that's kind of the way I see it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you guys think? What do the Mariners need to do? How bad are you panicking right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm pretty worried. I'm in like the 8 level of panic. And if we lose this series, it's definitely going up. So yeah, let me know down below how you're feeling. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our beautiful faces on YouTube. Be sure to check out our Instagram. And as always, go Mariners.